Imagine a gilded cage. Beautiful, yes, but its bars hold a secret, darker than any dungeon. This is the story of Topkapi Palace, a place of immense power, yet also a silent prison for royal daughters. Their spirits shattered, their will broken, long before their bodies. This hidden price, etched into flesh and soul, was concealed for over 6 centuries. A dark tradition resurfacing only now. The Ottoman Empire stretched across 3 continents, from 1299 to 1922. Its armies thundered, its banners cast shadows. Constantinople fell in 1453, reborn as Istanbul, the empire's beating heart. At its center, Topkapi Palace shimmered, a jewel of gold. Behind ornate courtyards lay the imperial harem, a kingdom within a kingdom, sealed off, guarded by secrets and formidable walls. At its peak, over 800 women lived here, trapped in a universe woven of silk and shadows, every glance, every breath observed. After 1530, the harem became a battleground of whispers and intrigue. Ambitions sharpened like hidden blades. Women, once slaves, rose higher than generals, securing the sultan's favor, carving their names into history. A gilded opportunity for some. They learned music, poetry, embroidery, the art of subtle persuasion. Chains could melt into crowns if fortune smiled. Yet, the same palace that granted power to some delivered torment to others. The daughters of the sultan, princesses born into glory. Unlike concubines, they had no chance to dream, to win or lose. They were not players, they were the pieces themselves. Each princess was a coin of flesh minted for politics, to seal alliances, calm rebellions, or buy loyalty, a living seal. Princess Fatma Sultan, born in 1606, daughter of Sultan Ahmed I, and the formidable Kusum Sultan, a woman of immense power. Fatma's childhood unfolded among scented gardens and scholarly tutors. She read manuscripts, studied stars, impressed with her sharp mind. Chroniclers called her gifted, a jewel of the dynasty. But brilliance was no shield against destiny. Her future etched long before her first words. Her fate was not to choose a husband, but to be handed over as part of a bargain. The man chosen, Damat Kara Mustafa Pasha, a seasoned commander, 20 years older, battle-scarred, loyal. For him, a ladder to power. For her, the start of an inescapable tragedy. By her youth, Fatma's reputation as a prodigy filled Topkapi. 4 languages, poetic elegance, sharp debates. But none of it mattered. Knowledge could not rewrite a future carved by politics. Her life belonged to the empire. And so, the shadow of an ancient ritual fell. Months before the ceremony, she was placed into Turbi Mubarak, the sacred training. No joy, no celebration. A calculated breaking of the spirit. This was the secret hidden for 6 centuries. A ritual transforming princesses into trembling shadows before they ever became brides. Overseen by Golar Hatun. From dawn until midday, Fatma was drilled. 18 different bows, greetings, submissions. Even her walk, the Uruya and Say, became measured. The cruelest part, her voice. Stripped down to 43 permitted words: gratitude, apology, obedience. Any slip into free expression was punished. Punishment came swiftly. Fasting until weakness, isolation in rooms of reflection, public humiliation. Every tear, every tremor, tallied. But the harshest trial awaited. Beneath the palace, talim and gerdek, rehearsals of the wedding night. Wax mannequins stood in for husbands. Fatma was forced to practice gestures no innocent girl should know. Her fear, hesitation, tears, all noted, all judged. Slowly, the bright girl who loved astronomy was hollowed out. Her brilliance dimmed, her spirit subdued. Sculpted for submission, Fatma was subjected to psychological conditioning. Memorizing verses exalting obedience, sacrifice, marital duty from treatises like Nasihat al-Muluk. Even prayer, once her personal faith, became a tool of control. specially composed prayers, not devotion, but invocations designed to erase individuality. Twice a week, in front of the female court, Fatma served her father's concubines, washing, combing, feeding them. A deliberate cruelty. The goal, shatter her pride. Her tears, proof the ritual was working. By now, the radiant Fatma was unrecognizable. Her books lay closed, laughter gone. The girl who dreamed of stars became a figure molded in silence, stripped of self. The sacred education achieved its purpose. 1 week before the wedding, training intensified. Fatma was moved to the Gelin Cork, the bride's pavilion, a secluded wing. Her existence controlled with cruel precision. Meals measured not for pleasure, but purpose. Pomegranates, almonds, honey, each ingredient chosen. Daily baths overseen by purification specialists. Oils of valerian, poppy, bitter orange blossoms. Subtle drugs meant to induce calm, compliance, surrender. Walls covered with silken tapestries. Not scenes of triumph, but obedient wives, praised for submission, fertility, silence. Whispering wordless lessons. Even mirrors were weapons. Venetian glass arranged so Fatma couldn't escape her reflection. A Sufi meditation twisted into psychological control. She realized she no longer owned her life. Voice, body, dreams, all stolen, molded by the empire. Gazing into mirrors, searching for fragments of self. Then, March 15th, 1623, the wedding day. Istanbul pulsed with music, incense, celebration. Streets filled with processions, feasts overflowed. To the people, a day of glory. To Fatma, the tightening of chains. Chroniclers described her pale face, dry lips, unfocused eyes. Palace physicians noted panic attacks, trembling hands, cold sweats, a racing heart. While the empire celebrated, she sat drowning in dread. When guests departed, torches dimmed, the most feared procession began. The princess, heavily adorned, led to the Gerdek Oda, the nuptial chamber. An octagonal pavilion deep within the gardens. Its design no accident, divided into 3 levels, each representing a stage of submission. First level, Taha Katkai. Fatma bathed for hours. Damask rose, ambergris, sandalwood. Anointed with ointments laced with diluted opium. Substances meant to blur the mind, dull resistance. What should be a bridal blessing became a chemical surrender. Her will dissolved. Second level, Teslim Kat, dressed in bridal silks. Golden pearls, but hidden cords and clasps for restraint. Her garments, a prison stitched in gold. The crown weighed heavily, limiting movement. Bracelets and anklets glittered, but restricted. Her shoes made escape impossible. Not an honor, but bondage. Meanwhile, Kara Mustafa Pasha was instructed in methods of dominance. Words to intimidate, gestures to assert power. No room for disobedience. Finally, the top level, Cipher, the chamber of consummation. Walls covered with tapestries of Ottoman victories, captive women in chains. The message unmistakable. Marriage as conquest. Furniture with hidden restraint mechanisms. Air smelled of oils that dulled resistance. The young girl who dreamed of constellations led into a room designed not for love, but for defeat. Her fate sealed. When the final doors of the Safe Katkai closed, Fatma Sultan stood alone with her husband. The celebrations outside had ended. Only silence remained. Palace physicians described her condition as a total collapse of the spirit. Her body shook, lips whispered words no one understood. Eyes drifted into emptiness. Kara Mustafa Pasha at first believed it defiance. Trained to expect resistance, he used techniques to belittle, to assert dominance. But there was no rebellion. What lay before him was absence. Fatma had retreated into herself, escaping into a silence deeper than chains, a scene of despair. Hours passed. Her body trembled, mind drifted. When the union was forced, the consequences catastrophic. Hemorrhages, loss of consciousness. Ruh Sukmai, the flight of the soul. From that night forward, Fatma was never the same. She developed selective mutism, spoke only when questioned, in faint whispers. Her appetite disappeared, often fed by force. Sudden bursts of weeping overcame her, lasting for hours, for no reason at all. Worse still, the sickness of fear. The mere sight of a man, even a trusted eunuch, could trigger violent panic. She fainted on the spot. Physicians labeled it virginal melancholy, common among royal brides. In modern words, trauma carved so deeply no simple remedy could heal. Desperate, the palace tried every treatment: herbal infusions, court musicians, Sufi meditations. None restored the brightness she once carried. The girl who debated scholars, gazed at stars, composed poetry, gone. What remained was a hollow figure, obedient, silent, broken. The marriage became a hollow ritual. Outwardly, Fatma fulfilled her role. She bore children, appeared at ceremonies. But within, silence reigned. Even her husband, hardened by war, reportedly drowned himself in campaigns and opium, trying to escape the guilt of her ruin. Fatma lived for 29 more years after that fateful night, but never escaped its shadow. Her days passed in muted obedience, books closed. When she died in 1652, official records cited fever, but many whispered her passing on her wedding anniversary was no coincidence. Her story, tragic as it was not unique. Archives revealed dozens of Ottoman princesses suffered the same fate. Some withdrew into silence. Others sought escape through madness or death. A few disappeared entirely from records, as though they had never existed. Erased. The machinery of empire, precise in its rituals, merciless in its protocols, ensured these women, born to power, became its first victims. Yet, even in the darkest corners, sparks of resistance glowed. Princesses feigned death, invented secret codes, even dared to petition the Sultan for divorce, openly defying a system thought unbreakable. These hidden stories remind us, resistance, though rare, always finds a way. To the outside world, Ottoman princesses were symbols of luxury. The reality, their lives scripted as instruments of political control. The harem, often romanticized, was also a theater of silence, humiliation, and hidden suffering. A carefully staged illusion, a mask covering a machinery of obedience. With each generation, more daughters sacrificed to maintain the empire's fragile balance. The rediscovered records raise haunting questions. If this was the fate of Ottoman princesses, what secrets lie buried in courts elsewhere? What rituals, too dark for official chronicles, were endured by daughters of kings and emperors? How many voices silenced? The truth about Fatma Sultan pulls back the curtain on 6 centuries of silence. Beneath history's shimmering surface, women's voices were smothered. The cost of power is often paid not by rulers, but by those closest. Wives, daughters, sisters. Their suffering, concealed behind gilded walls. For 600 years, this story remained buried. Today, we uncover it not as romance, but a warning. Power without compassion devours its own blood. If Fatma Sultan's tragedy has shaken you, stay with us. Many more secrets await. Share this story. Like and subscribe. In the comments, tell us which queen or princess's fate you wish to see uncovered next. Perhaps a Russian Tsarina feared by her family, a Chinese empress bound by rituals of terror, or a European princess forced into a destructive marriage. Only by telling these truths can we strip history of its disguises and finally hear the voices of those silenced for centuries.